Okay, we're good.
You ready? Yeah. Hi. You've seen the cardboard version before when it was on the pannier, and then so I've progressed to this stage now. I'll just talk you through some of the other bits. So I started working for Teresa, the client. She has a severe arthritis in her knee due to having several operations when she was younger. She finds it a struggle to walk. She's found that she can cycle easily because it doesn't involve weight bearing on her knee. And so she uses cycling to get to work, but then also on the weekend she found that cycling is a real freedom to her, because it allows her to get out of the house. She doesn't drive, so she gets out of the house, she visits local farmers markets and even goes on social rides with friends and family. So cycling is a real freedom for her. She currently cycles to Bristol Temple Mead Station, where she leaves her bike in the mornings to get to work. And then she carries her panniers and uses her walking stick to get onto the train, and then obviously walk to college. And then when she came to see us, her pannier was really full, and then we questioned her why she didn't just get 2 panniers, and it turned out that she struggled to carry both panniers and use her walking stick once she got off the train. So I set about trying to make a solution for to allow her to wheel her panniers and then be able to use her walking stick at the same time. Some of the key features, there's got some, can't really see it, it's got some really rugged wheels on the bottom, just there. They kind of help with the bumps. They should be wider to allow it to stop rocking. It's got the magnetic catch on the lid, so you can open it up and it just slots down nice and easily. It's got on this side, it's got 2 rear reflectors for the bike. So obviously once it sits onto the pannier, it's got some reflections for better safety. It's got extendable handle, the handle comes out, and then that allows the pannier to sit at the optimum towing angle, which is when the base plate is flat. So when you turn it, and it allows for different sizes of people and stuff like that. And then it's obviously got the 2 handles on the top for pulling it apart, like that. And it just helps with putting on the bike and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is some costings. This is based on making it per unit, but in terms of buying materials enough for 4 units. So obviously you buy in bulk, you get it cheaper. So this is on my method, which was buying ABS sheet and then cutting all the individual panels, and then I welded them together with the heat welder and welding rods. And so obviously if you went into commercial manufacture, it would be vacuum formed. The ABS vacuum forms really well. And so then that would mean I'd need about half the amount of material, because obviously the sides are formed from the original shape. The welding rods, minimal cost. Primer and paint, that would obviously come down a lot. It took about a tin of primer and a tin of paint to do each one. But as you drove that, the amount up.
Well, you wouldn't really need you wouldn't need paint.
No. If you're vacuum forming it, you wouldn't need the paint. Expendables, that just covers for things like sandpaper and filler. Obviously that was useful for this model, but obviously if you're making commercial manufacture, you might not have those things. It might allow for a bit of packaging. Then the accessories is just the reflectors on the back, the wheels at the bottom, which are £1.50 each, and then the handle's the biggest factor in that, which is about £6.50 I found, which isn't too bad. Brings the total cost for this one to about £43.27, and then I can obviously wholesale that at £50-60. And then in line with other units on the market, about £120 for the unit. There is an option to sell just the main unit, just that unit for about 60. Because obviously the cost on that would be a lot less, so about 80. And then the other unit would come as an optional extra for about 40 additional pounds. But yeah, any questions?
Great. Really nice prototype. Does it need an attachment on the?
Yeah, there is.
Rail?
I don't know what I've done with it. It's over here. Sorry. This would then. It would get cable tied onto the bike pannier, and then they'd obviously slot into it. This is obviously I made this in the workshop, so obviously it would have material cut out here to make it as lightweight as possible. It could be a lot more lightweight than that, and a lot less material. Or even could come in 2 separate panels, so you have a top panel and a bottom panel, just to remove all this excess backing.
We want them on each side.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And they each go over the side. So
Yeah.
Cool.
They sit on each side, yeah.
Yeah.
And the panniers slot into that.
So at the start, when you said you kind of, and as you kind of stressed the point, like cycling is a freedom, and it's something which she really enjoys. I think that's a really nice insight, because you've identified the needs, and you've actually said this is something that she desires, and it's because that's a really important aspect of any product.
Yeah.
If it's great if it's fulfilling those needs, but if it actually brings some joy, the joy is a really
and then one thing
important
I forgot
aspect
to
of
mention
it.
was that it could be used for multiple commuters, so it's not just a product that she could use. There's a massive wide range of people that cycle. James cycles to the station, and then he gets off his bike and carries his pannier to work. So obviously there's obviously a lot of people that do it. And then obviously in businesses as well, you park your bike at the bottom floor, and then you can wheel this up to your desk on the 10th floor or something. Nice and neat.
It's very universal. I mean, I personally probably wouldn't buy it. I'd more go for a rucksack. But if I was carrying a laptop every day and wearing a suit, I'd definitely buy one.
Yeah, it's a nice prototype. And you've kind of, I mean, in your costing, obviously the things like sandpaper and paint like that obviously wouldn't apply. But you did say about, well, you could backform this. You've got a good idea of how this would actually scale. And it would be a nice rugged kind of 1 or 2 piece backforming or blow molding or something.
The back's a bit messy because it
breaks something. Was this was originally red?
No, it was
Is that the primer?
discussed with Mel that we were going to paint it red, and then I decided it was tacky and horrible. So I painted it black. It could come in multiple colours.
I spent a lot of money on paint for this project. Well, he spent a lot of money for stuff.
And then it kind of, so it was obviously they were out of an existing rucksack that I took apart, the wheels. It was a grey primer, but we decided to paint it red, and then I decided to paint it.
You've stuck with ABS as your manufactured material. Why? I mean, do you not think that you would probably look at a different material and maybe a different moulding process?
You could use. I kind of chose vacuum forming because it's something I know, and something that I was more able to get costing for.
I mean, the thing with a vacuum form, you wouldn't be able to form the whole shell, so you would still end up welding. Whereas if you did something like a rotational mould, or I mean, in an injection mould you could do, but it would cost 100,000.
Yeah, you could rotationally mould it, and then the back could be more integrated. Don't know if there's like this photo here. This was of a pannier that kind of the pannier rack and the actual slotting system was integrated into the back, and then obviously I didn't discuss it, but the handle could be integrated into the back as well. So obviously in this one, just because of the handle I had to take, it just takes out that much out of the out of the lid. But obviously if it was integrated into the slotting mechanism at the back.
I mean, I would say though that hand is a very robust one. If we were to go into the slotting mechanism, it would be quite delicate and not as robust handle.
I was just playing the fact it's actually quite good that you've used these kind of arrows, because they mean, well, if you just had the two, like forgetting that one, I mean, it can kind of be like it can be put in at a slant and it catches itself, which is quite nice. And I think because you've got this one down here, it doesn't quite allow. Well, there's definitely still a bit of
and there's still the option of the magnet at the bottom.
Magnets at the bottom, or the actual fixing to the bike needs resolving further.
So have you got anything defined for that at the moment?
I've got designs drawn up for it. But obviously I didn't have time to make it.
Yeah, it would have been good. Yeah, it would have been good. So and would it be at the handle or? No, I'm getting confused here. Yeah, of course.
So you've got that. It's just in terms of how the male and female works for both sides.
Because obviously it slides down. So when you put on this piece onto the bike, it just slides off down. So obviously we discussed one side being the same, and then the other side is these triangles actually slot in to another layer. But I'd already stuck it to the book. So. And then it stands. It would just stand in the way.
So you got a nice rubber strip there. It's quite good. Yeah, it's a nice rugged piece of work. It's cool.
Do you cycle Tess?
I've been on a bike for a good few years.
That was another thing as well. The weight
to this, do you think?
It's got quite a weight to it.
I'm really impressed by that prototype. Yeah. I mean, you can see how it would practically work straight away.
Yeah. Definitely. I think you should do a crowdfunder, Callum.
I mean, the weight, is absolutely.
And I haven't been able to find any wheelable pannier bags.
Yeah.
You think it's quite a simple thing. I think a few people have come up with them, and I literally haven't found a single pannier with wheels.
Yeah, my friend's made her own just out of an old case.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. So nothing like that exists already?
No. I couldn't find anything that exists like it.
I think your Christmas is taken up with setting up a crowdfunder now, Callum.
Yeah, get on it.
You need to go to that. You need to go to that thing that Tom and Jack are going to go to with the InGen. Let's just have a chat there as well. Okay, good presentation, well done. I think again, issues with the costing is you're too much talking about prototypes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it costs you in the prototype. It's nothing to do with what it costs you in manufacture. It's a completely different ball game. But you pulled it back by actually giving us a relevant retail price of a competitor, which is exactly what you should be talking about. At this stage.
The Orlet bags go for about £80 each, and they're fabric bags.
Yeah.
So it's more sturdy. It does more than just that pannier bag. So.
And you could still do it like the construction of an actual travel case. So you're only dealing with an internal sort of skeleton.
It was discussed.
It's
been discussed in my book that it is just a metal frame. So you have a lightweight aluminium frame that then has material over it, wraps around the frame. So
I think that's probably where you'd end up going. You'd probably work with a seat manufacturer, and that would be the technology that they'd.
You could quite easily weld up a metal frame to the shape, and then just drape the fabric over it and get a nice waterproof fabric like the ones on the Orlet bags.